Standby to initiate release sequencer. On my mark. 5.
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2. 1. Mark.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mark, a.k.a. Derringer. Today is Sunday, September 1st, and you are listening to episode 224 of the Instant Action Podcast, your weekly source for Planetside news and information. As always, I'm brought to you by great listeners like you via the Support the Show tab on instantactionpodcast.com. So what's been going on with me this past week? Well, I did play some Planetside 2, but more than anything, I've dived headfirst into WoW Classic. I'm a WoW baby, just like a lot of people I know. So that has grabbed me by the scruff of the neck again, I guess, and thrown me back into it. Yes, I rolled a hunter. I am a huntard. I played a hunter in vanilla, so playing a hunter again just felt correct and right. So yeah, I've been playing a lot of WoW, but also in addition to that, it was actually my wedding anniversary this past weekend, so I did not get to play as much Planetside 2 as I wanted because of that, because instead I spent the time, as I should have, with my wife, enjoying our wedding anniversary. I'm not going to tell you how many years we've been married because it'll make some listeners feel bad because I've been married longer than some of you had even been alive. So we won't go down that route. But again, I did get to play with all the recent changes that came with the most recent Planetside 2 game update, which I'm going to cover in this week's show. So I guess we should just roll right into that. What's in store for this week's show? Well, first, there is the big release of Planetside Arena news that I've got to go over because we have an early access date. We have a roadmap for everything that's going to go on, including a launch date. We have some bundle pricing as well as some other stuff to talk about. After that, I'm going to go over that August 28th PC game update for Planetside 2, which brought us bounties, which gave us new death cam, along with some other changes as well. And then after that, I'll wrap up this week's show talking about the PS4 Hotfix that dropped on the 28th, and then read some new listener email about the Briggs server. So strap in as we hot drop into another episode of the Instant Action Podcast. So like I said, first up this week is the Planetside Arena news that we received on the 29th. So this was on... That's not right. I'm looking at the wrong date. We got this on last Thursday, new information regarding Planetside Arena. And I know people think that Labor Day is the official end of summer. I mean, technically it's not the end of summer until we get to around, what's the date here in the U.S.? September 23rd is the autumn equinox. So, I mean, that's really when summer's officially over here in the U.S. So they did get this information in within plenty of time to still be considered in the summer, even though you and I both know September usually feels more like fall than like summer. But again, we did finally get some Planetside Arena news with a full developer's letter. So they wrote that since we last boarded the Bastion, they've been heads down, fully committed to delivering the game. And I can say that from my visit to Daybreak Games, I did see the entire Planetside Arena team all over there hard at work. I didn't get a chance to go over and bother them, but I can definitely agree that they were all heads down, committed to completing the game itself. So they say that it's also an ambitious project that magnifies the camaraderie, signature moments, and massive battles that Planetside is known for. They're going to be launching with modes like 300-player squads, Sunderdome, Outfit Wars, and Massive Clash, which they hope will spark a new, even more intense phase in the battle for Araxis itself. Like I said at the beginning of the show, they did state an early access date is beginning on September 19th. So if you're listening to this show, that is basically 2 weeks. Almost 3 weeks. So the 19th is a Thursday, so that's when early access is going to begin. And I did note that they said it's only going to be early access on the PC. So PS4 folks and Xbox One also folks, you're not going to get a chance to play this when it goes to early access on the 19th. Instead, this is going to be something that's only available through Steam. So they did suggest that you go into Steam and add Planetside Arena to your wish list so that you are made aware when it launches. So the development letter goes on, or developer letter goes on to say that they've always thought of Planetside as an evolving saga that will escalate beyond Araxis into an interstellar war, and that's where Planetside Arena is going to start, which means they're talking about expanded factions, new weapons, new vehicles, battles on other planets, and the space in between. Those are all parts of the vision that they have for Planetside Arena. So they said that over the next year, they're going to begin to explore a future that will see an evolution of the empires and introduce new ways to wage all-out planet-side warfare, filled with new game modes and classic favorites reimagined, all at a scale that can only be created through a planet-side experience, and that they have a long, exciting road ahead of them, and they can't wait for us to join them in that epic journey. So again, that initial early launch or early access on September 19th is going to be a pared down version of the game, and I think we all expected that. It's only going to feature 2 different modes, either a 12 soldier per squad or a team mode of 3 soldiers per team in 300 player matches. So, I mean, if you're doing quick math on that, if it's 3 teams, you've got 100 teams in one match. And if you're doing 12 soldiers per squad, then you've got 25 teams per match. Initially, me thinking about this out loud is I'm not excited about the team one because, I mean, 100 teams going at it on the map. Not so much a 3-soldier team mode that feels more like Apex to me than anything else. That 12 soldiers per squad, leaving only 25 teams, feels like it gives the ability for a little more tactics in Planetside Arena that might be more my style. Again, they're sticking with the 3 initial character classes, the Assault class, the Engineer class, and the Medic class. And there will be an expansive motor pool that's going to include tanks and hovercrafts, and all characters are still going to receive jetpacks. And that's what you're getting for the beginning classes and everything. There's also going to be a new personal loadout system, which they hadn't introduced in the last one, so we'll be able to see that when it goes to early access, as well as a visual overhaul was made on the game, and character mods that add utility to your weapons and battle suits are just a few of the additional features that they have worked to implement since the first beta session. So clearly they did take the beta session seriously as good feedback on a direction to go with the game itself. And they did say that the Planetside Arena will continue to add new modes, they will add new vehicles, they will add new weapons, they will add new classes, they will add new events, and they will add new maps throughout the entire early access time. So early access is basically going to go from September 19th until launch. So let's talk about that roadmap for a second, because again, launch September 19th. During that launch, we'll get access to squad mode, team mode, the tactical loadouts, and the mod system that I just talked about. Then in the fourth quarter of 2019, fourth quarter is October to December, they're going to release Sunderdome mode, which they don't mention, but if it's anything like Thunderdome from Mad Max, I would expect to have one Sunderer in the middle of the map and a giant dome to fight over, but who knows. They're also going to be introducing a solo mode, so you can imagine 300 people versus, 1v1ing all over the place. That would be a very interesting map. They're also going to be introducing new guns and new suit mods, and they're also going to be introducing holiday events. So if they say holiday events, plural, that leads me to hope that when they say Q4 2019, they're talking October 2019, because I'd love to see them throw a Halloween event in, a Thanksgiving event in, and a Christmas event in. And they did say events, plural, so I'm holding them to doing this in October or at least November so that we could get 2 holiday events that way. Then in the first quarter of 2020, that's January, February, March, they're going to be introducing the outfit system, which that's a big one. That will get my attention. They're also introducing outfit versus outfit wars. That's another one that's got my attention. They're going to introduce the advanced suit and gun progression to the game. And finally, they're going to introduce aircraft to the game. So right now, that's telling me that, yes, they're trying to introduce every type of vehicle that's in Planetside 2 to the game itself. And I'm all for that. And then finally, second quarter of 2020, they don't give an exact date. So second quarter of 2020 is April, May, June. So it could be as late as June before the launch of this game. We should expect to see a PC, a PlayStation 4, and an Xbox One launch all at the exact same time. That's awesome. After that, they're going to include new classes with the launch. They're also going to introduce the Massive Clash mode and the Massive Clash map. Now, they've talked about Massive Clash mode in the past, and that's an intensive base versus base conflict that supports 1,000 players, and that's way more players than any other arena type game is offering right now. So if they can continue, if they can definitely support that 1,000-player model when they launch Massive Clash, that will be a huge feather in their cap. Now, let's talk about the early access bundles, and these will most likely launch on the 19th. They have to launch on the 19th, otherwise how are you going to get early access? But they're offering 2 bundles. The first one is the Planetside Arena Recruit Edition, which is $19.99, so it's $20. It contains a base copy of the game. It contains some crates, and it also contains the early access exclusive Alpha Strike banner. One thing it talks about here, crates. So clearly there's going to be some kind of loot crate system involved with this game as well. I don't really enjoy loot crates, but that's kind of the way everybody's going, not just Planetside, so I'm not surprised that we're going to see loot crates. But again, that's the base version of the game. Next is the Planetside Arena Legendary Edition. This one is $49.99, so basically $50. So you're getting that same base copy of the game. You're getting that same Alpha Strike banner. You're getting more crates than the actual Recruit Edition. And you'll also receive the exclusive M20 Tempest skin and the Alpha Strike armor skins for the Assault, Medic, and Engineer classes. But that's not all. If you buy a Legendary Edition of the game, it comes with an extra key for the Recruit Edition. So if you have a friend that you want to play Planetside Arena with, you can give them the secondary Recruit Edition copy. And again, don't forget that Recruit Edition comes with the base game, the crates, and the early access Alpha Strike banner as well. So your friend will also get something special just for you throwing a Recruit Edition copy of the game at them. So that's that. The one thing that they have not mentioned regarding these early access launch bundles is the free copy that Planetside 2 members were supposed to receive. And this is something that they talked about extensively, that anybody who was a Planetside 2 member was going to receive a copy of Planetside Arena. And they gave us those copies and then took them away. So I'm not sure at this point if people like me, who's a member, is going to have to purchase another copy of Planetside Arena, or if we're going to just get it. Now, another thing that's not mentioned here, nowhere does it say that this is a free-to-play game. So might it be a free-to-play game when it launches? Yes, but as it stands right now, if you want to do early access, you have to shell out at least $20. unless they throw some sort of membership deal at us as well, where they give us a free copy. But again, there's been no mention of that. I do hope that they're true to their word on their stream, where they said Planetside 2 members were going to receive a free copy. I would think that we better still receive a free copy of this game. Even if I give that free copy away to somebody else because I'm going to buy the Legendary Edition, that's still my prerogative when it comes to this. So that's basically all the news that we have regarding Planetside Arena, and it's a lot. They've been silent for a long time over there. So for them to come forward, release a lot of information to us is good. And really in just 3 short weeks, less than 3 weeks at this point, we can all jump in and play around with Planetside Arena with the squad and team modes, and the tactical loadouts and mod system. I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out again once the early access goes live. Again, I'm not so excited about the Q4 stuff, except for maybe the holiday events, but I am really excited for the outfit v outfit stuff. I'm definitely going to have to check that stuff out. And then the fact that they're going to be launching on all 3 platforms. Switch isn't included. I do consider Switch a platform. The 3 main platforms is good for them as well. It's about time they got something over to Xbox One as well. So there we go. That's Planetside Arena in a nutshell. I'm sure that I will talk about it again when it goes live on the 19th. But with that, let's move on to our second topic this week and back to Planetside 2. And first up in Planetside 2 news is that August 28th PC game update. This is the Dead or Alive game update. First is the Connery and Soltech news. As you guys heard me talk about last week, Briggs is no more. So everybody who was on Briggs has been moved over to Soltech at the time of this recording. So they have opened up server transfer between Connery and Soltech for a limited time. So if you're playing, if you're a Briggs player and you'd prefer to be playing on Connery, you can migrate your character over to Connery from Soltech. If you're somebody who's playing on Connery and wanted to be on Soltech instead, obviously you can go that way as well. This window of availability is only going to last until September 30th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific. So make sure that you get your server transfers in well before that. And again, the last note from Nick regarding this was, give it at least 10 minutes after you've logged off from your character before you actually make the transfer, so that you don't lose out on any certs or levels or anything like that you had earned while playing on the server that you just left. Just to give it that 10 minutes just to be safe on it. But again, if you wanted to move from Soltech and Connery and vice versa, now is your chance until September 30th. Next, moving on to continent events, the aerial anomalies that were restructured out on the PTS have made their way to live. So obviously they wanted to encourage more active participation rather than what it was before, which is just fly some galaxies and sit on the thing and collect data, which did get boring after a while. So now in the new version, data buoys are going to appear on the map, and the anomalies themselves will coat vehicles in a mysterious residue called Tempest, and then you must gather Tempest and then deposit it at nearby buoys. Galaxies can carry 500 Tempest, Liberators can carry 400, Valkyries can carry 250, and the ESFs can carry 100. Spotted vehicles carrying it will display a special icon that changes based on how much Tempest has been gathered. If you kill a target carrying Tempest, all of its resources are lost. Deposited Tempest is converted into score, and the first team to score 25,000 points will win the alert. So as you can see, there's a lot of different things that you can actually do in this new anomaly. First, you can just be that person who collects Tempest and deposits it at data buoys. And the other side of it is you can be that denier who flies and tries to shoot down Galaxies, Liberators, Valkyries, ESFs that are carrying Tempest in order to deny the enemy the points. So there's definitely a lot more participation in this version than the last version, and I'm very happy about that. Next up after the anomalies is bounties. Bounties have made a return to Planetside 2, and I'm very happy that they're back in Planetside 2. So this new bounty system is going to flag players right now who are getting strings of kills. And so what happens is if you get a 10-player kill streak, 10 or more kills without dying, you're going to have a 5 stack of bounties added to you. They did say that there's a long cooldown between how often that can occur, but when you do get a stack of 5 bounties on you, they will be removed one at a time when you're killed, instead of removing the entire stack when a player receives 3 deaths. Kills on bounty targets now award a flat rate of experience instead of basing it on the stack amount as well. So again, no longer are people going to set bounties on other players. It's now automatically done when people go on kill streaks. And I'm hoping that this is just the first iteration of automated bounties, because kill streaks is one thing, but I'd like to see some other ways to earn bounties within the game itself. Like, I'd love to see it if they do put it on a medic who's revived X number of players without dying, or if it's an engineer who's repaired X number of vehicles without dying, or X amount of max armor without dying. Those are 2 quick ways for them to add some bounties on things. You can also do something along the lines of infiltrators who have hacked different things, X number of things they've hacked, add a bounty onto them. There's a lot of different ways that they can add bounties to the game itself. Those are just some quick, off the top of my head things that I'd like to see them add into the future, into the game itself. Next after bounties, the new death camera is in the game as well. So basically, they've changed it. So instead of just seeing a top-down view of your body, instead it's going to first track the person who killed you for a few seconds before refocusing on your corpse. It's going to highlight the person who killed you in red as well, so you can even see them if they're running around a corner or whatnot. And they hope that this will help some players, and they specifically say new players, achieve a better understanding of where attacks are coming from, and ease some frustration and maybe quell some of the quote-unquote hacker mentality that some people have within the game itself every time that they die. They did say that they are aware that this could have an impact on stealth-oriented gameplay, and they will watch servers to see if anything really jumps out at them before making any changes to it. I kind of like the death camera. Usually I feel like I know where I'm getting killed from, but it's nice to see, get that confirmation that, yes, okay, the reason I got killed by that guy is because he peeked a corner and, triple headshotted me and then peeked back around the corner so nobody saw him. Again, I haven't come across anything where I'm like, damn, I can't believe that person killed me. Where did they come from? But again, I have been playing a little while. Next up after the death camera, there are some infantry changes to the game. First, the Cosmos VM3. This is for VS Maxes. Its maximum damage was reduced to 143, and its minimum damage was reduced to 125. And the dev note on that is that because of the bigger bullets, and despite the headshot damage reduction, the bigger bullets have made the weapon overperform when attached to such a high health pool target. So they're going to keep the unique aspect of the weapon, but they're going to reel in the performance a bit by dropping its max and min damage down slightly. Next, the NSXA Kappa. This is the NSO's submachine gun. This is the one that the one that they receive as a reward for completing a directive. They reduced its minimum damage from 50 down to 42. Basically, this is a slight nerf, but it does stay in line as a Tengu variant, while giving soft point ammo a reason to exist on the weapon itself. And they feel that this was originally an oversight with the minimum damage range of the weapon, where it was equivalent to its max damage, so they had to correct that oversight. Moving on to vehicles. The Mag Rider's utility slot, the Mag Burner itself, was changed slightly so that rank 1 is integrated by default, and the Mag Burner skill line has become a passive part of the vehicle instead of living in a utility slot itself. They added an additional rank to its skill line, though, and they moved the cost of each tier up a rank, as the first tier is now free, but the cost remained the same overall. They also adjusted the regeneration rates of Mag Burner for better scaling at lower cost ranges. The fuel tank is going to recharge from full. Originally, it was 35, 30, 25, and 20. Now it's 35 at default, and then changed to 28, 25, 22, and 20. So you can see the maximum is still at 20. The highest level is still at 20, whether it was before or after. And they also felt like they fixed an issue where frame rates would drop drastically when you were trying to activate Mag Burner without an appropriate amount of energy itself. Now let's talk about Recharge, which was put in the utility slot. It's a new Mag Rider utility that instantly restores Mag Burner fuel capacity and momentarily disrupts lock-on attempts. If you unlock it at rank 1, you're going to get a 40-second cooldown. If you unlock rank 4, it's going to give you a 25-second cooldown to instantly restore Mag Burner fuel, which is not a bad utility item if I do say so myself. Next, they also added a new defensive slot. This is the multi-directional exhaust. It's going to further reduce the time to recharge Mag Burner and also allows for limited horizontal strafe capabilities while Mag Burner is active. At rank 1, it's going to increase your Mag Burner regen rate by 15%. And if you bump it all the way to rank 4, it's going to increase it by 30%. Now moving on to the Prowler. The Rampart Projector, this is the new defensive slot I basically talked about last week, has already made its way to live. So basically, when deployed, the Prowler receives increased front armor and also projects a hard light barrier forward to shield allied infantry. That barrier is tied to the Prowler's health pool, and any damage you do to the barrier also damages the Prowler. If you unlock this at rank 1, you're going to get 10% additional front armor, and if you bump it all the way up to rank 4, you're going to get 20% additional front armor. I've already seen some very clever uses for this because it appears to project itself right through a wall, which is certainly very interesting. But the good news is enemies can't shoot out of it. You can't shoot either way through it, so it's not like there's some greatness to it where you're hiding behind it and can still shoot out of it if you're friendly. And then finally moving on to the Vanguard. It also got a new defensive slot, the Nimitz Reactor, and this replaces the 1,000 Vanguard health in exchange for a quick recharging shield layer of the same value. It recharges 100 shield health per second at all ranks. If you do it at rank 1, the recharge delay of 6 seconds when damage received and 15 seconds when the shield is broken. And if you bump it all the way to rank 4, it still has that recharge delay of 6 seconds when damage is received, but it's only 10 seconds when the shield is actually broken. Moving on to the Flash and Harasser, they changed the model for the stealth attachment visuals on those vehicles. For the Lightning, they changed its engagement radar attachment so it uses the correct UI camera, and that wraps up all the vehicle changes in this game update. Then there were some other miscellaneous changes, fixes, and addition. I think the biggest one is to the new player experience, because any new player now receives 100 certs at each battle rank through BR 100 instead of just the first 15. That's kind of a big deal. That's not bad at all. I mean, after level 15, you're usually pretty decent at the game and can earn certs pretty easily, but getting 100 right off every time, that's not a bad addition to the game itself. Moving on to continents and alerts, they've randomized both the continent rotation and warp gate rotation on server startup, which means we should stop seeing just Esamir being the one every time a server's reset. Alerts and continent events will now end prior to a server restart. They have a speculative fix for the 0000 alert timer bug. And the Esamir's continent lock benefit no longer stacks particle effects, and therefore the performance impact of that benefit should be greatly reduced for all players. Next, infantry. They have extended the range at which hard light barriers appear for distant players, which means no shooting through them when you're far away. They also changed it so that hard light barriers now have a slightly larger exclusion radius, and that is to prevent barrier stacking. Moving on with infantry to NSO. NSO characters can no longer lock onto allied vehicles. They will now receive grief for damaging unmanned allied vehicles, and they also now should be able to access faction-specific jump pads, and they fixed some crosshairs issues that NSO characters had. Moving on to implants, one change, the critical chain implant buff no longer lasts indefinitely. I know people were abusing that one. Construction, structure shield should now despawn properly, and the orbital strikes generator shield will now despawn properly when destroyed. And finally, in this game update, they did some visual updates. The personal shields visual is now fixed. I'll tell you, the first time I played and I ran into NC players and started shooting them and saw the personal shield change, I was like, damn, everybody's playing heavy assault and popping a shield, when I realized it was just the visual effects. So yeah, dumb for me. And then finally, they fixed issues related to the impact effects when shooting targets with a shield layer itself. So again, there is your entire game update. Pretty big stuff, honestly. Between the area anomaly change, the automated bounties, and the death camera, plus the new Prowler item, this was a pretty big update to the game itself. And brought a lot of changes to Planetside 2. But with that, let's move on to our third and final topic this week before diving into some listener email. And that last topic is just a quick one. This is the August 28th PS4 hotfix, because PS4 players were not left in the dark as well. It was just bug fixes, though, and really only 4 of them. So first, lighting models should now be working correctly. Nighttime should be less pitch black, and lighting should now be more uniform. Even when I was playing, there were a lot of complaints about that I had regarding visuals within the game itself and regarding lighting, so good to see that has been changed. Also, strange after effect images like ghosts should no longer appear. I didn't really run into that one, but I know other people did. Next, generators will no longer instantly revive after being destroyed. That was a huge annoyance bug on PS4, so I'm glad that has been fixed. And then finally, they feel that one of the few remaining crashes that was giving people blue screens should now be fixed as well on the PS4. So hopefully that pretty much nips most of the blue screen bugs that people are getting within the PS4 version of the game itself. Again, that was it. It was just a quick hot fix, but hey, at least you guys got a hot fix, because don't forget how long it took them just to introduce the game update to PS4. So the fact that you guys were on target with a hot fix is good news as well. And hopefully a lot of the stuff that we just got on the PC side of the game is going to make it to the PS4 side either this week or the next week. I have my fingers crossed with that. But let's wrap up this week's show and move on to housekeeping.
Housekeeping. Housekeeping.
Come back later, please.
Housekeeping.
Not now.
Housekeeping.
Go away.
I coming anyway?
And I did get one email, like I said at the beginning of the show, and this was from Matt9. And Matt9 wrote, "My friend and I logged into Briggs for the last night of its existence after hearing your show last week. It was interesting to see the exceptionally small player base, 21 players when I was on, though we had some fun small fights that we rarely get on Connery. Also, we helped TR win what was probably the last alert on Indar for Briggs. Sad to see it go, but understand why. I simply feel like DBG could have given the server a bit more than 5 days notice for them to say goodbye." Before I move on to the second half of his email, Matt9, I killed you during that alert on Briggs. And I can't believe that you didn't notice that it was me. I mean, I was playing as Derringer on Briggs, and you were hiding in the middle of hiding in the corner at Galaxy Solar when I came stomping in and shot you down and killed you while you were crouching in the corner. So I can't believe you didn't mention that in your email. That's good, though. I also had some fun playing on Briggs on the last day. Now, I even stayed up till midnight, and I actually think I logged in 11:30, and that's why Eastern time, and that's why I saw you on and stuff like that. But even afterwards, I stayed on when the next continent opened. What were we playing on? Amrish, I think, after that. And I played for at least until 12:30 my time, and had a good time playing. You know, the fights weren't huge, but there were definitely enough people on to really kind of give Briggs a good send-off. So I enjoyed playing it. I felt bad that it was closing down, and I do agree with what you said. They should have given them more than 5 days notice to say goodbye. But again, they're all still out there. They're on Soltech and can move to Connery. All right, moving back to your email, though, you wrote, last month you mentioned spending some time over on Connery. As a Connery player, I am curious what you thought of your experience there. You mentioned your plans to run with Rust, which is one of the more dominant Vanu outfits, on a predominantly Vanu-controlled server. I'm curious what your experience was. I hope you had fun with the West Coast folks. Lastly, any update on PSA? I haven't heard about it recently. Thank you for continuing to keep us all up to date on the workings of PS2, Matt 9. I'm not going to talk about PSA because it's like you predicted this, Matt. You sent me this on Monday, I think, and then a couple days later, bam, Planetside Arena news. But regarding my time on Connery, yeah, I spent about 2 weeks on Connery. And I did say I was going to play with Rust, but I never got the chance. And the reason I never got a chance is because it's a West Coast server and I'm an East Coast player. So when stuff happens on Connery, prime time on Connery, for me, let's say 8 p.m. for you guys, 11 p.m. for me. I'm an old man, Matt. I can't stay up late, especially if I have work the next day. So anytime that they were running ops, it was time for me to go to bed. So when I played on Connery, it was 5 p.m. Pacific. And I'd play for an hour, and there weren't huge fights. It was always Esamir because we had that Esamir bug that was going on where that was the only the only continent open anytime anybody logged in on Connery. So I didn't really enjoy it. And so I'm back playing on the Emerald server where it fits my time schedule. And that's really the only reason that I play on Emerald at this point, because it fits my time schedule. Because like I said, I'm an old man. I have to go to bed at a decent hour in order to get up early. I'm not young like all you young whippersnappers can easily get out of bed early in the morning after doing a late night. So yeah, it's probably not the best answer, but that's the answer that I've got for you. I didn't really run with them, and I've jumped back onto Emerald because of the time zone stuff. So again, Matt, thank you for that email. And again, I can't believe you didn't mention that I'm the one that killed you. All right. That's going to be it for this week's show. How can you get in touch with me of the show? Your first stop should be my website, www.instantactionpodcast.com. You can email me like Matt9 at instantactionshow@gmail.com. And you can email me about Planetside Arena news, Planetside 2 news, whatever you want. I love reading your emails and responding to them each week on the show. Again, that email is instantactionshow@gmail.com. You can also call me and leave me a voicemail at 347-4VM-4PS2. Those digits are 347-486-4772. And finally, please follow my show on Twitter at InstActPodcast. That's INSTACT Podcast. But in closing, if you've enjoyed the show, please leave me a review on your podcast listening avenue of choice, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or anywhere else. Also, please feel free to tell your friends and outfit mates about the show. And finally, thanks for listening, and keep spamming that join combat, formerly known as Instant Action button. Derringer out.
Get your arms combined.